Hello and welcome to Media Academy Online.
This is, what do we call it?
Good.
This is Film Talk, where we discuss various films, some that have come out recently, others that might be old gems. We're basically going to have a discussion and ask each other questions about these films. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Midsommar and IT Chapter Two. But let's start off with Midsommar. And this is one you've seen recently. So for people who don't know, please just give us a description of what it's about.
Yeah, so it's a horror film, but not so obviously a horror film like Hereditary. This is basically about a relationship, boyfriend-girlfriend. They go overseas to a European country and sort of they go into this cult and this celebration, and it gets pretty twisted from there. It's basically just a relationship, boyfriend-girlfriend. They go into this European country and shit gets really twisted.
And this is one you were looking out for, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was hanging out to see this one. Funnily enough, it came out in the world, but not in Australia straight away. And I was waiting. I'm like, trying to see when's it playing. Still nothing.
Yeah.
No sessions. And I'm thinking, oh shit, it's not coming out.
And it was only in very selected cinemas.
Yeah, it was very, very selective. Had to, drive 40 minutes to go see it, basically.
Yeah. Yep.
But it was worth it. Yeah.
For those stuck in Australia.
Yeah, especially down on the peninsula, away from the city.
Yeah.
So it starts off basically with this female, the protagonist, and she seems not to be in a very happy state. Something seems off. Basically, this character, Danny, her family dies. Okay. Her sister is bipolar, and she gets this phone call at the start of the film, and she's obviously seeking help or something like that. And she calls up her parents, and the parents aren't talking, or they don't answer the phone, and they're just lying in bed. And then you find out a few scenes later that the sister had actually killed the parents by pumping in car exhaust fumes into the house. And and she's got this mask on as well, straight from the exhaust. So that kicks off the film. So it's a nice happy starting, It's like, oh yeah, great, I'm feeling good now. And she calls up her boyfriend, and she's speaking to her boyfriend, and the boyfriend's like, he seems a bit off as well, and he's kind of like, almost like he doesn't want to be dealing with her. She seems like she has a lot of problems, mental problems or emotional problems. And she finds out that he's going on this holiday as a boys' holiday with him and a group of friends, and she almost sort of forces her way into this holiday.
Okay, right, yeah.
And the guys aren't happy about it. Like all his mates aren't happy. And they have this conversation before that, before she comes there, and they're saying, well, haven't you broken up with her yet? You've been dragging this out for a year. So obviously there's been a lot of problems in their relationship, and this is, basically what, the beginning of the film is setting the tone that it's an unhappy relationship between these two. Yeah. And he should have broken off this relationship, but he wasn't strong enough, or he just couldn't build up the courage to do it. So it's already very uneasy. Like, it's got this really kind of dark, but not overly dark. It's not dark in the way it's shot or anything necessarily. It's more the feeling of this, it's kind of nasty. And so they set off on this holiday. They end up in this European country, and it's almost like going to this strange place. And it's shot very brightly lit. Everything's like almost sunny and blue skies. Perfect. Yeah, very picturesque and beautiful. And you're thinking, how bad's this going to be? What's going to happen? And apparently it doesn't go dark there. So you find out that it doesn't actually go dark. That they're like, it's 7 o'clock or something like that at night, and the sun's still up and it's still blue sky. Like, there's no change in the day at all. It just stays daylight.
Okay.
So you're kind of dealing with all this sort of stuff, this horror vibe that that you're feeling like something's going to go wrong, but it's against this backdrop of beautiful, picturesque, scenery, and you're thinking, oh, it's kind of like a bit of a like a contrast there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, they take like magic mushies or whatever it is, hallucinogenic drugs, and they start tripping out. She's like seeing, like grass and stuff growing over her feet and all this weird shit that. So it's all very warped. And the way they shoot the effects is really cool as well, because it's not like overly CGI. It's got this kind of throwback era 70s vibe to the film as well. I don't know if you've seen Hereditary, but Hereditary had that kind of feeling about it too, where it's like The Exorcist or something, kind of had that old feeling. It's like the director Ari Aster has these kind of films in mind when he makes them, and sort of thinks, this is kind of how I want my film to feel, like those older horror films rather than the newer stuff coming out. But he still has those new sort of fresh things in his films, but it's a kind of meeting of the two. Okay. And I think it's really good because he's inspired from those old films, but sort of brings that into these new ones. And so they get into this festival, and you're just looking at some of the people there, and you're thinking, oh, it's a bit overly happy, and you're thinking, this is not right. What's going to happen? Are they, what's going to happen here? So basically, they all get broken down psychologically as time goes by. And they're having to participate in all these kind of games and like exercises and stuff like that, and rituals basically. And this is what really gets you into the film in a big way, because this one moment you're seeing these old guys on top of this cliff and everyone's down below watching them, and they just fucking jump off the cliff.
Right.
Yeah. And it's not shot like like an action film or anything. It's basically just very stark, and it's just shot, and you just see this guy just go onto the ground, and then a guy with a fucking mallet comes and then smashes his skull open with this mallet, because he's not completely dead. He's like, and it's nasty stuff, and his head just splits open, and you see it. It's like fully splits open. And it's pretty intense. And you're thinking, okay, all right. It's almost as bad as that scene in Hereditary where the girl's head gets beheaded, Yeah. It's that kind of impact where you're just like, fuck, okay, here we go. And then from there, it's just like a drug-induced, hypnotic journey. And, it just kind of, it's very unsettling. Very unsettling, but shot against the picturesque background and all this sort of stuff as well, and the colours of the film, all this sort of thing. And the music is also very unique. It's not your typical horror soundtrack. It is definitely different. And
how do you feel the themes of the whole cult thing? How do you think that feeds into real life? Do you reckon there's that a reflection there, or is it painted as like completely fantasy?
No, definitely is lifted straight out of reality, in my opinion. Because you get probably crazier rituals and stuff in cults as we speak. I mean, I don't even know half the stuff they get up to, but I could imagine how bad it gets out there. And I've read stories and in the past about certain cults and some of their rituals. And this seems on par, like it really does. It doesn't seem alien, or it doesn't seem totally out there where it's unbelievable. It really feels grounded and something that would be going on as we speak. And that's what's disturbing about it, because it actually feels like you're going on this festival with these characters, and you just, as each kind of scene goes by, you're going deeper and deeper down to this rabbit hole of madness. And the more drugs that they're taking and the more sort of time they spend there, the more twisted they get as well. And I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to a rave, like what do you call them, like a doof rave or something, where it's out in the sticks or in the country, and everyone's just off their fucking head on acid or you name it. And that's what it just sort of made me think about. And I was like, oh shit, sort of, it's a cringy thought, you know.
And are we following the point of view of the main female or multiple people or?
Multiple, but it's more the relationship of the female and the boyfriend.
Okay,
So those two are the center point. But she is the center focus, but he is kind of like the secondary character, and then his group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
But then they all kind of get knocked off camera. You don't even see him get knocked off.
Yeah, right, okay.
You know, it's not like murder, you know, kill. It's just weird shit going down, and you're basically following her, and the more down psychotic she's getting, or, you know, the more fucked up she's getting in her head, you know, it's basically that kind of descent into madness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a film I need to see multiple times.
Yeah.
You know, I only saw it last week, and I felt like straight away, all week I was thinking about it, and I'm thinking, fuck, you know, that was intense, and I need to see it again because there's so much in it, and yeah, it is brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there much of like a climax in it? Is there a lot of action, or is it all just what you don't see is the scary part of it?
It does have a climax at the end. Like it definitely, you know, goes somewhere as a climax, but it's not like a massive thing.
Yeah.
It is a good ending to the film, and it doesn't blow it out of proportion. It keeps it grounded still, and it still sort of keeps in the film's tone. It doesn't go too far away from what it's sort of set out to do in the beginning, and it kind of just, naturally sort of moves along, you know. Yeah, but highly recommended, and it's one of those films that there's so much detail in it that you kind of have to watch it a few times, even as cringy as that might be.
Oh, I mean that's especially a trait from the filmmaker. That's the kind of films that
he sort of
likes to make.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Hereditary twice at the cinema, and I needed to. I felt like I needed to. As soon as it ended the first time, I felt like I need to see that again straight away.
Yeah.
And this had the same effect on me.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have been giving this one a lot more backlash. Both of these films have had their backlash in different ways. A lot of people, I think, say this one sort of not much happens.
Yeah.
Because I think people are so accustomed to horror film as I think as more like the sort of, you know, that modern day horror filmmaking. That very mainstream, you know, jump scares and all those sorts of things. You know, that's what people are expecting when they go to see a horror film. And then when they don't get that, they immediately go, this film's shit, it's boring, nothing happens.
Yeah.
It's like, did you watch the film? Because like more happened in that than any other modern day horror film, to me anyway, because I feel like you don't stop thinking about it, you know, and it gets embedded in your emotions and your psyche. I think a lot of people, you know, have a lot of expectations, and they're so accustomed to the formula of modern day or just horror films in general, and I think that's what a horror film should be.
And that's the thing, like, you know, our discussions in the past have always been about things becoming formulaic, and that's an issue in today's cinema, because they find a formula that they think will work, and they just repeat it, and it's a shame. And when something new comes along, for us, we'll probably embrace it better, but there's a lot of people that won't accept it.
They almost don't know what to do. It almost puts them into this state of uncomfortable viewing, because they go to the pictures with expectations, and I feel like that's what film has become. It's sort of become something so tailored to the audience that they know what they're getting into before they even leave the house. So it's like, you know, you buy your ticket for a Disney or a Marvel or a horror film, like these Blumhouse ones, and typically you know what's going to happen to a certain degree, especially if you've seen the trailers. You kind of got it all mapped out, and you kind of know it's going to be jump scary and all that sort of stuff. But these other kind of films, you know, they might be marketed like that, and most of the time they are marketed like that. Like there was another A24, which is A24 is that company that do a lot of these kind of lower budget horror films. It Comes at Night, that was a previous one that came out, and the trailer kind of misled the audiences thinking that it was going to be, you know, like a zombie apocalypse movie, but really it's like a film just set in a house and nothing really happens. It's all internal. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at in the cinema sort of I think, at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but at the same time, you know, you still get a lot of people praising it, and it's still highly rated. It's not like it's been completely dogged, but it's just doesn't get the kind of love and attention that the mainstream stuff does. First viewing, I'd give it an 8. 8 out of 10. Mainly because I think all the aspects of the filmmaking in that film is top notch, and yeah, I mean it borrows a lot from the past, like all good things.
Yeah.
I think all good art borrows.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and it does it well. So yeah, 8 out of 10.
Anything you think it's missing, or?
That's a hard one. That's something I want to sort of, on repeat viewings, I might pick a few things up. But I felt like it was definitely good, and it was a good package. You know, it was definitely a good package that didn't feel like it needed anything extra added, bolted onto it. You know, I was like myself. I was waiting for those kills because that's what I'm sort of being accustomed to as well, like anyone else. And I'm kind of waiting for these things to happen.
Yeah.
And none of that happened, and that surprised me. And that's what I liked about it even more, because I like things to catch me off guard. And if it surprises me, then that's a win, in my opinion.
Breath of fresh air.
Yeah, breath of fresh air. Absolutely. Cool. Yeah, a drug-induced one. Yeah. Tell me about your film experience.
So, IT Chapter 2. I guess we're contrasting here between the lesser known, more art house kind of film to the big blockbuster. So I was pleasantly surprised when I saw the first IT, a new take on some horror genres where it doesn't have like the usual traits where like the parents that were seeing something happen to the child or something in that format, where it's kind of like the whole story is following these children.
Yeah. The
very
Losers Club, isn't
strange. It's a very Strangers. Yeah, the Losers Club. It's a very Stranger Thing kind of way of looking at it, where it's saying we're going to focus on those the losers in the group. And so this new one came along, and the idea is that they've now grown up and they're now 20 odd years older.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they had made a pact. Which I'm pretty sure was mentioned in the first one.
Yep.
Where they'd made a pact about if it was to come back, they would have to all come back.
Yeah.
It was a responsibility they were all given. Where if this creature came back, they would all have to call it up one another and bring them...
Sort of band together again.
Yeah. And so fast forward 20 odd years, Pennywise had come back and he started murdering again.
Oh, okay.
And the balloons came back, this time in a big way, where it was basically like a whole sea of balloons all coming down from the bridge. I'm pretty sure they had that in the trailer.
Yeah.
Mike, the only one left in the town, he saw the aftermath of the murder.
Right.
And he saw writing on the bridge wall and stuff like that.
Okay.
With that pact, he called everyone, he calls them up and says, come back down. One of the problems, though, that they wrote into the story is that the further you'd move away from the town, you'd start to forget what happened. To the point where pretty much all the characters had forgotten about their childhood.
Oh, okay. Convenient.
Which is, very convenient.
Yeah.
Only problem that I had with it, it's a very far-fetched to have them all forget what happened, but then, some random person who I don't remember is calling me, so I better come back. And they all came back, except for one who...
So how do they remember the pact and their friends and stuff?
That's the thing.
Okay.
It was a weird play, and it's kind of like, they remember a little bit, but they don't, and it was a bit... I think it could have been a bit more solid.
Yeah. Seems, on the outset, it seems a bit, not quite right.
No, yeah. And that was my first, and I thought, okay, right. It's a bit weird, they all decided to come, And it was nice they'd expanded the characters, and they all had jobs now, and Beverly had found herself a character that was basically abusive, which is basically her dad 2.0.
Oh, okay. Right.
Which was quite interesting to sort of expand on that idea, like the fact that she found herself an abusive
relationship,
husband, and how that all happened.
Yeah.
The characters were all sort of expanded a bit more, which was interesting to see. That was fine. And then move forward. They all come and they all meet up And you got the typical, some people say, oh, this is stupid, I'm going to leave, and others will say, no, you got to stay, and there was played around with that. But unfortunately, after that first act, that's when things started to really slow down.
Yeah, right.
And that's when they really were leeching on the past characters.
Yep.
In terms of the past actors, in terms of like the childhood counterparts, where they would basically follow one character at a time, where they would relive their childhood or what had happened to them in terms of Pennywise, and they'd see sort of flashbacks of certain events that had happened to their childhood selves, and which was basically an excuse to show more scary stuff.
Right. Okay.
So we went through each one of those characters, one after the other, where they all had their scary moment, which they would basically find any excuse to show some sort of scary creature.
Okay.
Which was kind of a reflection on, it was the different ways that Pennywise could show himself, and played with all these ideas, but it kind of felt like they were setting a lot of things up for an excuse to have a scary moment.
Yeah.
And really at that point, the adult counterparts, their story really slowed down. Okay. And it was a lot from the childhood point of view, and I get they're arcing back to the very original It, in the book and all that, but I kind of felt like this new reboot of the series, we'd done the children, and I kind of felt like we needed to move more into the adult and see how that would progress.
Yep. Makes sense.
Which unfortunately they would find excuses to keep showing us as children again, where it's kind of like, the reason why I liked the first one is that it had different themes running through it, and this one's kind of like, we don't want to leave those themes and be different again, we kind of want to try and stick with mimic the old one.
Yeah. And
it's kind of like, it would have been nice for them to move forward with the story and try something different and really expand on what happens to those the adults there in the film.
It almost sounds like it was a bit compromised.
Yeah.
Like they didn't want to move away from the winning formula of the first one. They thought, we better put in as much as we can of that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people might not take. Will people be scared? If they're just adults now. Do we need to show them as kids to get that fear factor from a child's perspective? Yeah,
and there's no reason why we had to show that as a, the whole setup was they had to find something from the past so they can destroy it, and that's kind of where they had the reflection. But there was no reason why they couldn't have had the adult counterpart playing that role. They didn't, instead of flashing back to the child.
Yeah.
They could have just had the adult deal with that.
Yeah.
Which still would have worked. But again, like the fact that we had to go and see each one of those by themselves, it really slowed things down.
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah. And
that second act just felt like it went on forever.
Wow.
And it's just like, okay.
It's a 3-hour film, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a long film.
That's huge.
There's a scary moment here, okay, right, we've got to be scared at this stage, okay. And unfortunately, it was falling
flat.
Falling flat, unfortunately. And the story wasn't moving forward. It was just trying to relive those childhood. And I keep thinking, we've already seen them. I don't care. I'm happy with what I saw in the first film. Let's see what they're doing.
So did they show you stuff from the first film?
Well, they would show things from the first film, but different aspects of what had happened, as well as adding in new events that may have happened.
Right. Because is the thing like not everyone sees him as a clown? Is that why they got different creatures? Why are they seeing him not as a clown? Do you know? Because I remember in the original he turns into like a big spider thing at the end.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, that was in there. That was in this one.
Yeah. I'm just trying to understand how it works, like Pennywise. So does he...
And that's what threw me, right? Because we'd have an old lady in there. We'd have this big giant statue creature that came alive somehow, and all these different ways of showing scary things. We had this zombie thing. There's all these different. I guess I don't know if they were directly Pennywise showing himself in different ways, or if it was, imagined in their head through because of Pennywise putting them in their head, or
that's what I'm thinking.
It was. I guess they didn't flesh it out 100%.
Mm.
Well, I might have missed it if they did, but yeah, it was just that second act was really just slow, and they were really milking it, and it was fine to expand on the characters, but I kind of wanted to see more about the new characters and their story.
Yeah.
Luckily, the third act started picking up again.
Okay.
We jumped back to a lot of the adults again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the adults in it became a real big sook in it, and it was like, I get it, you're scared, but
Was he like crying or breaking down and stuff?
yeah, he'd like shut down. And,
Okay.
and he really, it really felt like he was like a child,
Yeah, right.
but he's not, you know.
Yeah, kind of felt a bit forced.
It kind of
just for the sake of having
it was
a character.
If that was in the first one, that's fine. But yeah, and it's not necessarily just the way that he's written. It's kind of like just the acting is a bit. It kind of felt a little bit
not sincere.
It wasn't genuine.
Yeah.
Scared. It just kind of felt like a bit childish.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was. You know, I kind of understand they wanted a character that was sort of afraid of that going back in and experiencing Pennywise and all of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And he ended up dying in it anyway. Sorry, guys, but he ended up dying in it anyway.
Okay.
So I guess they were trying to bring out of the film this character's super scared, and he's able to eventually overcome his fear, attempt to kill Pennywise through that overcoming of the fear.
Yeah.
But even just the way he acted, where he was like, he killed it, and then he's like, I killed him. It was very, very childish.
Okay, yeah.
Where he was like, oh, I'm so scared, but I'm going to do it. Come on, let's go. I'm so scared. And the whole time he's shutting down, which is a very normal thing. It's a very human thing to shut down. So that's why I don't want to say it's the character per se. Yeah, just in the way that it was portrayed. And then just, even the way how he was, screaming at the end, oh, I killed him. It was a very...
childlike.
It felt a bit childish. I know it was probably different for everyone, but that's sort of how I read it.
Okay.
And, it just felt like all of the obstacles and all of the scary elements in it were kind of shoved in there a bit more, where it didn't, they had these sort of games or puzzles that they had to go through in order to. There's this whole. They brought in like the legend of Pennywise, and in order to kill him, you have to do these different challenges.
Right.
And that felt a bit forced to me.
Right.
Yeah, they kind of had like this romantic thing between Beverly and Ben.
Okay.
Where it was bet that challenge or completed that challenge was the fact where Ben would call for Beverly, and it was kind of like him admitting that he loved her, and then all of a sudden their puzzles kind of conjoined into one, or their dream like experience merged into one, where she was able to save him, and it was a bit forced.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably different for everyone. Personally, I'm trying to look at it as trying to understand the whole mythology of Pennywise.
Yes.
And how that works, right? And that's kind of where I kind of got a bit stuck, where that's fine if they're having these illusions or these puzzles that they're going through.
Yeah.
How is that set up? Like, who set those up? Is it a reflection? Is it a reflection to Pennywise? But then Pennywise is trying to, is that him trying to kill them? But then while they're being out, he felt he wanted to kill them. He'd think he'd be able to kill them. And then seeing all of these manifestations of, the evil or Pennywise.
Yeah.
Like these, as I said, we got like the big giant statue coming to life, and all these different things coming to life. How does that fit into the bigger mythology of Pennywise? Yeah. So.
Yeah, it seems like they missed something there, like establishing who Pennywise is, and I think it's good that you can keep things a mystery and makes you think about it. Yeah. But then there's just that other aspect where it's like...
There's a difference between making you think and just leaving confused.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be leaving confused, but unfortunately I felt a bit confused. And it was overly long when it didn't have to be, especially with horrors. Horrors aren't meant to stick around so long.
It was supposed to be pretty zippy.
Yeah.
Well, Midsommar was I saw the director's cut, so they had an extra 40 minutes odd in it.
Wow,
So
how
that
long
was
did that go for?
it was about 150 minutes.
Okay,
all
yeah.
up. So it's about the same.
Yeah. I guess if you're working with different subject matter.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people hate it because they said it's too long and nothing happens.
Yeah, well.
But I think a film like that, runtime, you kind of need that to sort of feel the journey.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just very snapshotty.
I mean, as long as the story keeps progressing, unfortunately, this one felt like the story was a reflection of the past selves and not a progression of the new characters and the newer story. Where that second act, you could have deleted it and it still would have worked.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be. You want the story to keep developing.
Keep you, interested and...
Yeah, nothing between the first act and the third act. Nothing changes.
Wow.
They'll just go off, collect these things and come back.
Okay.
If you grabbed the edit of it, deleted it, it'll still work, 100%.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's almost like how they split movies into two parts.
Yeah.
But they kept this one as one part.
Yeah.
They should have just... Yeah, it sounds like they just wanted to put in a lot of stuff, It was
very forced. It was very... Let's just try and work on the nostalgia that we've built and try and just ride on that.
It's a very long runtime for a film like that.
Yeah.
That's because the first one relied on jump scares. They're a jump scare film.
Yeah.
Let's face it, they're not. They still had a creepy element to them, but they were ultimately just jump scares. And to stack on that many jump scares in a 3-hour runtime, it's way too many.
It is. Yeah.
But after the first hour, you just want it to kind of be wrapping up.
Yeah.
90 minutes to 100 minutes is a perfect time for a jump scare film because
that's right. Well, by the end of it, I kept looking, and I reckon the climax scenes would have been a lot more enjoyable if I hadn't been stuck around for the other
looking at your watch.
Yeah, unfortunately, I got to say, oh, come on, hurry up.
What would you give it out of 10?
Out of 10, maybe about a 5.
Yeah, right. It sucks because I wanted it to be good.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe at a stretch it might be a 6, but it unfortunately just those missing elements of it, the fact that it was too long, and the fact that I couldn't quite piece together. It wasn't well-rounded story where I could piece every bit together by the end of it. Maybe second watch, maybe that might get explained. And I'm sure people watching this will tell me I'm wrong, but that's how I saw it. Yeah,
no, that's fair enough. I mean, I've heard that criticism quite a bit from it, that it's very choppy and that it doesn't really have a solid core to the film, which I think for a 3-hour film you kind of really do need that. And
even just a re-edit would probably solve it.
And I'm surprised they even went ahead with a 3-hour film. Because you'd think that a 2-hour film would benefit them more because then they can fit more showings in through the day, at the cinema.
And they tried to get in depth with their characters and have some meaning, and there was a bit of meaning there, but unfortunately it fell flat just because there was a lot of nothing. So now this is the part where we give each other a film to go watch. Whether it's something we've seen or not, we're going to go re-watch it, reflect on it, come back for the next episode. So the first one...
Hit me.
Rosemary's Baby.
Hey, okay, and I'll hit you back with American Werewolf in London.
The next episode... Those are the 2 films we're going to be talking about.
For some more horror.
Ready for October.
Yeah.
Halloween.
The horror.
Camera.
Whereas these other horror films...
Farted.
Oh, yes, on camera. That's a stuffy. That's what you call stuffy fart.
Alright.
That's a horror film in itself. The Staffy. You know what you did. To have that.
Alright, you guys want to introduce it?
Yeah.
You can introduce it.
What are we talking about today, dogs?
Good.
That's it.
And that's a wrap.
Thanks for watching.